Before we begin today, I have a couple of announcements, so if you permit, I will read that. The first relates to the inaugural 2+2 dialogue of the Foreign and Defense Ministers of India and the Russian Federation. The first meeting of the 2+2 dialogue between India and the Russian Federation at the level of Foreign and Defense Ministers will be held in New Delhi on 6th December this year. Honorable Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh and Honorable External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will represent the Indian side in the dialogue. Russian Foreign Minister His Excellency Mr. Sergei Lavrov and the Russian Defense Minister His Excellency Mr. Sergei Shoigu will be visiting New Delhi on 5th and 6th of December for this 2+2 dialogue. As you're aware, the 2+2 dialogue is being held pursuant to the agreement reached between Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and the Russian President His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin during the telephonic conversation on 28th of April this year. The agenda for the dialogue will cover political and defense issues of mutual interest. The establishment of this new mechanism of a 2+2 dialogue is expected to further strengthen the strategic partnership between our two countries. We will issue this as a press release after this. My other announcement we have relates to the visit of the Russian President for the next India-Russia Annual Summit on 6th of December. Beg your pardon. The President of the Russian Federation, His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, will pay an official visit to New Delhi on 6th December 2021 for the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit with Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. The last India-Russia Annual Summit was held in September 2019 during the visit of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to Vladivostok in Russia. The annual summit could not take place in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. This will be the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders after their meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Brasilia in November 2019. Since then, there have been 6 telephonic conversations between the two leaders, apart from the virtual meetings that they've attended for multilateral summits. The leaders will review the state and prospects of bilateral relations and discuss ways to further strengthen the strategic partnership between our two countries. The summit will afford an opportunity to exchange views on regional, multilateral and international issues of mutual interest. The visit is in continuation of the tradition of annual summits alternately in India and Russia, and we are confident that the visit will further provide an impetus to the India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership. We will also issue this as a press release immediately after this press interaction. Those are the couple of announcements that I had to make. As you know, some other summits, etc. have happened yesterday. Today the ASEM summit is still going on. We have informed you. We had the RIC earlier today. We had the SCO yesterday. And of course ASEM was over the last couple of days. Anyway, may I now open the floor for questions, or just one second. Okay. Let me start with you since I saw you first. Okay, then we'll take. Yeah, microphone here, please.
मधुरेंद्र मैं न्यूज़ नेशन से। मेरा पहला सवाल सर 26/11 को लेकर है, जिस बाबत पाकिस्तानी डिप्लोमेट को आज सम्मन किया गया था, नोट वर्बल भी दिया गया। क्या उम्मीद करते हैं हम पाकिस्तान से कि जो विक्टिम्स हैं उनके गुनहगारों को पाकिस्तान सज़ा दे पाएगा, क्योंकि लगातार रिमाइंड करने के बाद भी पाकिस्तान की तरफ से आतंकवाद के खिलाफ ऐसी कोई भी कार्रवाई नहीं हुई है जिससे ये समझा जाए कि 26/11 के गुनहगारों को सज़ा देगा।
Please.
Nanima from the print wanted to understand what is India's stance on Pakistan's allowance to send the wheat and drugs to Afghanistan. Have you officially responded? What is our stand? Thanks.
Okay. Here, please. One second. You had a query? No. Okay, please. Just 1 second, yeah, please. I think the microphone's coming around the room. Just give me a second. Here.
With the new corona variant being detected in South Africa and several countries banning flights, there is also a question of flights coming from there. And Indian cricket team is supposed to visit South Africa on 9th of December. So does MEA have to anything on this?
Same question. Okay, let me take this round of queries. Let me start with the 26 नवंबर आपने पूछा था. देखिए आज बहुत स्पेशल दिन है 26 नवंबर का. इसके बारे में हमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले एक प्रेस रिलीज जारी की है जिसमें आपने देखा होगा, जिसमें हमने फिर से दोहराया है कि जो 26 नवंबर के गुनहगार थे उन पे सज़ा दी जाए. इसलिए हमने आज एक सीनियर डिप्लोमेट को पाकिस्तानी दूतावास से बुलाया भी था और उनको एक नोट वर्बाल दिया गया है जिसमें दोहराया गया है कि हम चाहते हैं कि उनका जो ट्रायल हो वो शीघ्रता से हो मुंबई टेरर अटैक केस में. और पाकिस्तान की सरकार जो अपने कमिटमेंट है कि वो टेररिज्म ना करे. हमारी अपेक्षा तो यही है कि हमारे और ये पूरे विश्व का जो हमारा डिमांड है कि ये जस्टिस रहे उनके लिए, इस पे पाकिस्तानी सरकार ठोस कदम ले. हम यही अपेक्षा रखेंगे और इसीलिए हमने आज ये स्टेप लिया था. Moving on to the issue of supply of wheat from Afghanistan or to Afghanistan. Look, we would like to say that India has always stood by the people of Afghanistan, be it humanitarian support or development assistance. We received earlier this week on Wednesday, I think, a response from the government of Pakistan to our proposal made on October 7th this year, on 2021, for providing humanitarian assistance of 50,000 metric tons of wheat to the government of, to the people of Afghanistan. This also has life-saving medicines that we wanted to send. This was about humanitarian access into Afghanistan on the delivery of the 50,000 metric tons of wheat and life-saving medicines we are supplying to the people of Afghanistan. We are examining the response of the government of Pakistan. We are also working on the modalities with the Pakistan side. We believe that humanitarian assistance should not be subject to conditionalities. As regards the issue of the South African variant, yes, this is a developing incident. We just saw the report by or a briefing by the World Health Organization. I don't have any immediate information on steps that we are taking. This is actually, as you would agree, is an issue more for our health authorities as well as our civil aviation authorities. I think there was a reference to the cricket team, but look, as of right now, I think we'll defer to them to give us a response on what they're thinking. But this is also a very developing story, so let's see what happens. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, please. Sharjah.
So a few days ago, the flights that were taking off from Srinagar to Sharjah, after 3 or 4 flights, were denied overflight facilities by Pakistan. You had taken up the case with Islamabad. Meanwhile, the number of flights has increased, the number of cargo is increased, except that it has to go all the way from Srinagar to Gujarat and then Oman and then finally to Sharjah. Now, this request for overflight facilities has Pakistan responded, and India had considered stopping PIA flights to Kuala Lumpur and Singapore over Indian territory. Is that something India is going to do?
Somebody else had a hand up? Yeah. You? Okay.
सर संदीप न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया से सर मेरा सवाल है कि राष्ट्रपति पुतिन आ रहे हैं तो कई सारे ऐसे डिफेंस डील है जिसको लेकर काफ़ी दिनों से चर्चाएं भी थी। मेरा सवाल है कि क्या AK-203 को लेकर क्या कोई एक फाइनल कोई कंफर्मेशन मिल सकती है इसमें? और दूसरा ये है कि S-400 के भेजे जाने का, यानी कि उसके जो भेजे जाने का कुछ खबरें जो है वो आ रही थी कि डिलीवरी हो रही है, उसका फ़िलहाल क्या स्टेटस है सर?
सर प्रणय, एबीपी न्यूज़ से। आरआईसी की मीटिंग में आज क्या इस बारे में भी कोई बात हुई कि जो क्षेत्रीय तनाव है या जो रीजनल टेंशन्स हैं आरआईसी कंट्रीज़ के बीच में, जो बॉर्डर डिस्प्यूट्स या टेंशन्स हैं, उनको भी रिजॉल्व करना ज़रूरी है ट्राइलेटरल कोऑपरेशन के लिए? और दूसरी चीज़ ये कि क्या आरआईसी समिट को लेकर कोई बात हुई है कि आरआईसी नेक्स्ट समिट कब हो सकती है, लीडर समिट?
Last week, a cargo ship going from Karachi to China was detained by Indian authorities. So, what is the status of the inquiry of that ship? What the ship contained and all that?
Let me begin, Mr. Ranjan. Look, as you correctly said, we have taken up the matter with the government of Pakistan for overflight clearances of the flights from Srinagar to Sharjah. I don't have any update on that yet. We haven't received a response, and nor do I have any indication whether we are looking at the kind of steps you had alluded to. I don't have any specific information on that. संदीप, आपने जिक्र किया है पुतिन के विजिट के बारे में। देखिए, अब डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन एक इम्पॉर्टेंट मुद्दा है हमारे रिलेशनशिप रशिया के साथ, पर स्पेसिफिक प्रोजेक्ट्स में एक तो कहना ठीक नहीं होगा पहले समिट के क्या होने वाला है, और दूसरा ये हमारे डिफेंस रक्षा मंत्रालय बता पाएंगे इसमें, वही इसमें एक्सपर्ट हैं उस इशू पे। मैं इसमें नहीं कमेंट करना चाहूँगा। S-400 भी ऐसी एक टॉपिक है जिसकी डिलीवरी या बाकी जो उसका क्या प्रोग्रेस स्टेटस है, मैं आपको रक्षा मंत्री की तरफ ही रेफ़र करूँगा, वही बता पाएंगे उसका क्या एग्जैक्ट स्टेटस है। अबाउट द RIC मीटिंग टुडे, मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा, देखिए उसमें हमने काफ़ी डिटेल जॉइंट स्टेटमेंट, जॉइंट कम्युनिके निकाली है। उसमें आपने देखा होगा कि रीजनल सिचुएशन पे काफ़ी पैराग्राफ्स हैं। डिस्कशंस हुई थी, पर कुछ डिस्कशंस इंटरनल थी, तो मैं उसमें ज़्यादा कुछ कहना नहीं चाहूँगा। पर जाहिर है कि रीजनल इश्यूज इसमें चर्चा हुई है। आपने सुना था कि ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स में भी विदेश मंत्री ने कहा था इसके बारे में, हमारे रीजन में क्या सिचुएशन है। RIC समिट के बारे में मैं कहना मेरे पास कोई ऐसी कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है। मुझे नहीं लगता है कि इसमें इतना डिटेल में कोई चर्चा हुई है, ना कोई जॉइंट कम्युनिके में कोई स्टेटमेंट है, तो उसके बारे में अभी मेरे पास कोई खबर नहीं है। आपने शिप के बारे में कहा था, द विच वाज फ्रॉम look, there was a seizure of that ship, of containers. There was some, and the Department of Atomic Energy is sending a team, or has sent a team to look at what exactly is the cargo or the containers contain. Once they've completed that, we'll be in a position to share exactly what the situation is. Any other queries, please?
So you just mentioned that there were some internal discussions at the RIC meet today. So did the situation in the Ladakh sector, did it figure at all during the talks in any of those internal discussions?
Look, I would refer you to, maybe you missed it. I think External Affairs Minister has just put out a series of tweets, very interesting, giving a sense of what are the topics that came across and what are the important issues. Usually bilateral issues do not feature in such things, and I would probably think that this would not have come up in that context. It was a bilateral issue. But as we discussed, regional issues and regional developments did take place. There's also an opportunity to talk about issue or reform of multilateral institutions, our situation in Afghanistan. He also referred to Myanmar, terrorism, radicalization, drug trafficking. On a larger issue, the need for global supply chains to adapt post, and also vaccination certificates, which was very interesting. So I would leave it at that. Which question? Before that, any other person? RIC. Okay, you have to have a second question. Is there anybody else on the first question? Then I'll come back to you. Yeah, please.
So at the SEO meet, External Affairs Minister had said that there must be a consultative, transparent and participatory measure on connectivity initiatives. So any such thing on connectivity initiatives been discussed in the RIC meet today?
Yes, you're right. External Affairs Minister did talk about that. That's been one of our policy issues, that such connectivity measures must measure up to these parameters. I would not be in a position to confirm whether such discussion in that depth happened, because these are our perspective on this. But I think it would have been reiterated how we see connectivity projects working. But as I said, our RIC discussions went on a number of issues which the External Affairs Minister has outlined in his public tweets. So I would refer you to that as a sense of the meeting. Okay, if there are, you have more questions, okay. Maybe I'll take a round of that instead.
You have referred to unilateral sanctions in the RIC joint statement. So if you could just elaborate if the S-400 and the issue of CAATSA sanctions feature in them, and what is India's position on it?
Look, okay, before that, is there any other questions on these issues? Okay. I wouldn't like to go into exactly what was discussed. After all, it was internal discussion. But let me just mention that, of course, the defense procurement issue itself, as I have said, is a matter for the Ministry of Defense. But regarding the CAATSA, however, let me just say that India and the US have a comprehensive strategic, global strategic partnership, a comprehensive global strategic partnership. And India has a special and privileged strategic partnership with Russia, as I mentioned earlier. We also pursue an independent foreign policy. This applies to our defense acquisition, also applies to our defense acquisition and supplies, which are guided by our national security interest. And I would leave it at that. Okay, so I see no more queries. You had a follow-up on the RIC. Yes, please.
Yeah, during discussions, did any of the countries, Russia or China, raise issues like Quad or Indo-Pacific groupings?
I don't have a specific response to that. As I said, regional developments were discussed, and I'll check whether I'm in a position to share that information. Okay, thank you very much for being here today in our weekly media briefing. Good evening.